start by measuring how many of these people are truly engaging with the brand and the content that's available. That's the thing that you see at the very bottom. But the amazing thing is how expansive you can get. So I'm measuring the number of people who convert on a third site after coming to my site based on a tweet that I had done. I can measure the number of people who signed up for accounts at a startup that I have. I can measure the number of people who sign up for the RSS feed, and a number of people who read all the glorious things that I have said on my own about page, right, and have a brand impact. So it's very expansive, the things that I can measure. I can drill down into any one of these things and go talk the language of conversions while not having even a single buy now or submit order button on my website. But the most interesting thing is that even for a completely non-profit, non-e-commerce website, I can actually measure a dollar value that you see at the bottom, right? That is the value of my Twitter activity in the last month, $165,000 US. Isn't that amazing? You can do this with very, very little effort. You can drill down and even understand for the exact same thing that you do on Twitter and Facebook, that Twitter adds 22 cents of extra value compared to Facebook. Isn't it nice? I can put all of this data in context, because Twitter is not a site, it's just one of my brand channels. I can go back and see for my business the value that is added for every single visit from Twitter, $3.03, compared to Google, right? It's $5 here, compared to my other social media efforts, $3.46, right? Every single visit created. And I can put it in even grander context of campaigns that I run on billboards and trains and radio and other places. And in the past, we would simply focus on data you might get from Omniture and Google Analytics Web Trend, the thing that you see at the bottom left. But now I can correlate all the data to measure all of the activity that I'm doing around the world. And say, okay, what was the impact on Twitter? What was the impact on Facebook friends and likes? And what was the impact on all of the other things that I'm doing? So that red dot at the bottom left would have gotten measured in a tiny little silo and one kind of impact. But as people live in a very, very diverse world and consume content and saying, I can then start to see what is the holistic impact. Not just start to measure the number of tweets that people are making. This is actually really easy to do. It's not that hard. And one of the easiest ways to do this, 99% of what I said is powered by this one single thing. And the one single thing that I end up doing is here's a URL shortener that somebody can use, and rather than sending people directly to this really long, only for SEO or URL, I can add a little bit of magic dust at the very end. And that little activity of adding that little magic dust, that gibberish that nobody will see or understand, causes me to do everything that I showed you up to this point. That is really all it takes. It's really important that the reason you can't measure ROI on Twitter is that you suck at understanding this. Is that you haven't bothered to sit down and understand why you exist, why does your business exist, and you haven't bothered to figure out the goals that you have for your business, not just that buy now thing that you're doing, but every activity that is of value. And if you do this, you will be a god. You will be a god. But you have to pause and ask yourself the question, is pimping all there is to social media? I've heard that a lot here today, the time that I've been. And it's all been about pimp, pimp, pimp. And so I wanted to get that out of the way. If you pimp, you can measure. I just showed you how to do it. But that's not the exciting thing about Twitter. Right? I got on stage a year and a half ago and I said, Twitter is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And by the time I got off the stage, I had 300 hate mails waiting for me because somebody tweeted that with my email address. And I said, man, this thing is amazing. Now the hate mail, the fact that you can elicit this kind of response from real human beings. And then I started to realize that this is a completely different way of thinking about marketing and communication and customer service and all of these other things that you heard today. If you think about the channels that we have to interact with the consumers today, oh, I had this slide before the little interview thing here. And essentially, I call the media channels we use today so far shout marketing. Think about television, radio, magazine, and billboards and all this. All we have done through the history of humanity of marketing, from Adam and Eve all the way until yesterday, is we have gotten better and more efficient at shout marketing. When we say we want to improve the way we reach our consumers, that improvement has been to shout ever more louder and frequently, hoping somebody at the other end is not in the bathroom and listening. And you have to realize that marketing is fundamentally changing, and that is why I like Twitter, indeed love it. Here's a picture by my friend Thomas. He lives in Denmark, and that's his URL, TWTRCON. And I think that he's done the most marvelous job of explaining this phenomenon. So this is traditional marketing, right? Shout, 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 shout. And hope, interrupt people and annoy them until they listen to you. And this has fundamentally shifted in the last 5 years or so to what we call cutely as internet marketing, right? And all that happens is that arrow has changed to a little bit more of a two-way discussion. When you type a query into Google, you are indeed giving clues about your intent so that the ad is more of a two-way conversation rather than a shout at you, right? When I'm looking for women's underwear, the right ad shows up rather than that was wrong. or if you do behavior targeting with your display ads, you're giving more of a clue to the advertiser, so it's less of shop marketing. Many big brands struggle with this even today, but the thing to realize is about 18 months ago, the world of marketing changed even beyond this. And it looks like this. And I think most people don't grasp this. The bigger the company, the dumber it is in understanding this company. Because what people don't realize is that we, as companies and marketers, have lost control of our ability to influence people in ways that have worked in the past. We're not even present in that outer ring, right? All these things happening beyond our influence and control. And as a result, marketing that has worked in the past is not going to work anymore. Any company that continues to do this will be okay for a few years, but in a few plus X years, they will die a beautiful death. Because this is going to be less effective with every passing day, because this is the new marketing. So the new marketing is about influencing people by participating in conversations and indeed initiating them. And if you don't understand this, you will die. Prepare, right? And yet I think that most people are not ready to shift to this new reality. And when it comes to Twitter today, and when it comes to understanding and measuring this new marketing, most of it seems to be focused on that number up here. I want to hurl and puke the number of times I hear this word of number of followers. Just stupid metric. And or the number of following, stupider metric, right? And the only one of these three numbers that is decent is perhaps that last one, because it's kind of a little thumbs up that you don't suck. And so that's a number of value. The one good use of this number of followers is it is good to contrast and say, if you're a world-dominating, glorious brand, how come you suck so much compared to another person? So it's good for that contrast. And it is good for this kind of contrast in even other places. You can say, if you're a company that has the power and indeed does shout at people every 3 seconds on every goddamn channel on TV, how come you can't even beat a random person? You should give people pause. I love this as the most glorious Twitter strategy. If you don't know what you're doing. Yeah. Right? Because what's going on, which is a very savvy advertiser and company, has said, rather than confirming you that we are lame, we will leave you in doubt. I love that. I love that as your Twitter strategy. Don't confirm your lameness until you know what you're doing. Right? Once you figure out what you're doing, do it and do it really, really well. So how do you move brands away from shouting at people to doing this correctly? And you should not be surprised. I'm going to use data to slap them around. Right? That didn't come around. Encourage them to be glorious. So one of the metrics that I love using the most in this crusade, if you will, wrong word for President Bush, I think works for me, but it is a crusade, to get people to think about this channel differently, is to use a metric I call message amplification. And this is a very cute way of measuring one really simple thing. And the thing that I'm trying to get people to measure is the number of retweets per 1,000 followers. The number of retweets per 1,000 followers. Because if you think about it for a second, what it is it is measuring if what you are tweeting is considered to be of value by the people at the other end. Because if they think about it to be of value, they'll pass it on to other people. And your impact will be much larger. It's not the drop that falls that matters, it's the size of the wave that it causes that matters. And I love measuring this metric. Another metric I love and adore in this quest to get brands to do better things is a metric called the follower retweet percent. And what it is not for Southwest to measure the most frequent loyal followers that they indeed are the most valuable to the brand, that they keep retweeting what we're saying, but to grow the percent of unique people who are retweeting the content that I and Southwest and indeed all of you are tweeting. And notice a very deliberate shift on my part, vacation, to get that number to grow against an index is to get more than my mom and my brother and other people to retweet the things I'm saying. Because the most interesting problem we deal with today in the world of this new influence marketing is that we have a hard time figuring out what is it we're passionate about and what is the purpose of what we're doing, and finding an overlap between the consumer need and value. We're really bad at this. And over time, if you invest enough time in understanding who your followers are, what their cares and needs and wants and desires are, you increase this overlap, which will be reflected in both the metrics that I said. Right? So for this business purpose and forcing companies to understand who follows them, that I measure those two things that I just measured. So that's message amplification. The second metric is conversation. Right? Remember, that's at the center of what we try to do on Twitter. And then here's a great example. I'm clearly not a consumer of this. My eyes are clearly gone circles. But this is a great brand. And if you notice what they do on Twitter, there's some pimping going on. There are a bunch of replies. They have coupons for other people and an inside joke at the very bottom. It took me 4 or 5 minutes to understand. I'm not demographic. It's very amazing in how they are participating in that revolution, the social web revolution. Now consider a company that charges hundreds and millions of dollars to people in order to give consulting advice connected to greatness. They shout day and night. How clueless of them, right? Nobody should hire them for this purpose. And here's a much maligned company for what they did. But if you the guitar thing, but if you go to United Airlines today, you will thoroughly be impressed at how good they are at doing this Twitter thing. They really participate in conversation. And Southwest, of course, glorious Southwest. I love Southwest. Freedom fire. But they've done a really marvelous job for somebody who started so badly. And then here is another brand that is quote-unquote social. All they do is shout day and night. Here is their glorious contribution to humanity yesterday. Did it add any value to the world? Right? Is it just shouting and pimping? So, how do you get companies not to do that? Right? Simple. Measure conversation rate.